There will now be an opportunity for silent prayer or meditation. Please be seated. The Secretary will read the order.
Debate on vote number 36, Small Business Development Appropriation Bill.
I will now invite the Minister of Small Business Development to open the debate.
So much. Honorable Chairperson, Deputy Minister Jane Sithole, members of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development and other members that are present here, the Acting Director General and senior managers of our department, board members and officials from our portfolio, ladies and gentlemen, 30 years ago, having received a resounding support from the electorate, the ANC, a true champion of democracy, established a government of national unity, bringing together all parties to oversee the transitional period through our constitution. And now, 3 decades later, the electorate takes us back to rewalk the journey as a country in a different context, wherein it dictates that there should be an inclusive government as led by the ANC. Learning from history, honorable members, let's do more together. It is by no mistake that we are tabling this budget vote in a month where we remember and honor Tata Nelson Mandela, our struggle icon and the father of our democracy. We have no choice but to invoke his spirit and wisdom to guide us successfully through this 7th administration. As parties in the government of national unity, we have agreed that we need higher levels of economic growth, and more especially growth that is more inclusive and job creating. One of the main reasons we remain in a low growth trap is championing reforms. One of the main reasons we remain in a low growth trap is because too many of our citizens are unable to participate in productive economic activities. So besides championing reforms to address energy supply constraints, logistics and crime, which is the focus of Operation Vulindlela, we must also focus our energies in reforms that unlock the potential of the SMMEs and the cooperative sector. This must be our core priority as the 7th administration, and one for which we bear responsibility as the Department of Small Business. As the department, honorable members, we've just celebrated our 10th birthday and want to assure all members and society that even though we are young and still developing, we are up to the task before us. We have done an enormous amount of consultation with SMME and cooperative stakeholders, starting with the roadshows we undertook in all 9 provinces when we joined the department in 2021. We've done this through a wide range of dialogues and other consultative processes that led to the development of the NISET. We commend the work that was done in the 6th Parliament through the Portfolio Committee that was led by the late Honorable Violet Siwela, may her beautiful soul rest in peace, and the Select Committee of Small Business Development led by former Chair Mr. Khai in processing the National Small Enterprise Bill, which amongst other things will enable the establishment of the One-Stop Shop Center through incorporating CIFA and the Cooperatives Bank Development Agency into CEDA, whilst also establishing the Office of the Ombuds, which will also deal with unfair trade practices towards SMMEs and cooperatives. Honorable Chair, we are starting this 7th administration with a very good sense of the needs and concerns of our SMMEs and cooperatives, having tried as much as possible within our fiscal envelope of 2.437 billion rands to ensure that this budget vote accords with these needs. President Ramaphosa reminds us that we do not have the luxury of time. We need to act with urgency and unity of purpose to eradicate the triple scourge of poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Honorable members, everywhere we've been to, physically and digitally across all platforms. There are concerns about market access for small enterprises and cooperatives, which force us to do more to tackle market concentration and barriers to entry that exclude SMMEs and cooperatives. We have 5 main areas that are targeting this area. Firstly, we will support 200 SMMEs through our Small Business Exporters Development Program to participate in 10 trade events in this financial year. We have since allocated a budget of 20 million rand, whereby we're looking at exploiting opportunities that are presented by BRICS and the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, amongst other partnerships that we have. Secondly, we will enhance our market linkage program to ensure placement of SMME products in strategic warehouses of wholesalers and the shelves of retailers. Through our partnership with Proudly SA, we are developing an e-commerce platform that is likely to go live in the second quarter of this year. The appeal to all of you, fellow members and South Africans, please make sure that you buy these products in all available platforms. Ningaba bahle xa ninonxiba ama-overall, military uniform, and all the beautiful clothes that you wear, as long as they are produced by SMMEs. Thirdly, we are working with the public sector in order to exploit opportunities which will be presented by the Public Procurement Bill once signed into law. And we are working with corporates through the Committee of Practice to influence the ESD programs and procurement of products from small enterprises and cooperatives. We are actively building supplier capacity to meet and sustain the market requirements. And here we are providing quality improvement, product testing and certification, as well as productivity improvement through CEDA. Through the Small Enterprise Manufacturing Support, we have allocated an amount of 266.8 million rands, which deepens the Black Industrialist Program and ensure more participation of small enterprises in the manufacturing sector. Priority is also given to new growth drivers with low barriers to entry. In this financial year, we will focus on the energy sector, the tech industry, while also implementing our cannabis support program that will look both at the industrial hemp value chain as well as how to mainstream small indigenous cannabis growers for lucrative markets. House Chairperson, access to finance remains one of the key constraints for small businesses and cooperatives, particularly those owned by previously disadvantaged individuals and those in the startup phase of the business life. To address this, we have developed the SMME and Cooperatives Funding Policy in order to expand access to finance and early-stage investment. We will be tabling this policy to Cabinet in this quarter. The policy will be a game changer as it also proposes an establishment of the Fund of Funds, which we are currently designing. The fund will de-risk and leverage investment from the private sector and institutional investors for startups, amongst other things. We will also prioritize developing a startup policy and legislation as required, and this will be done in collaboration with relevant departments. We will continue to build on the work we have already undertaken in the previous administration to invest more in underserved SMMEs and cooperatives. In this regard, CIFA has dispersed 2 billion rands funding facilities against a target of 2.18 billion to 80,000 SMMEs and cooperatives, which led to 98,000 jobs facilitated in the economy. You are allowed to clap for that. For this financial year, CIFA plans to disperse just under 2.16 billion and facilitate 130,000 jobs. The 2.16 billion disbursements comprise of fiscal transfers and CIFA's balance sheet funds. It is targeted that 40% of that will go to women-owned businesses, 30% to youth-owned businesses, 7 million to businesses owned by persons with disabilities, whilst the rest goes across board. On township and rural economy, we plan to strengthen impact and accessibility to our township and rural entrepreneurship program, which we have since reviewed offerings of. This year, we have allocated 344 million rands to CIFA, which will be administered accordingly. An amount of 255 million is allocated to our Assist program, which is intended for businesses with less than 3 million rands annual turnover. We have allocated 45 million rands to general dealers as part of reclaiming the township and rural retail space. To ensure safe and decent space for SMMEs and cooperatives, we will spend an amount of 153 million rands to build new structures. To deal with fake products that are destroying our local economy, whilst also exposing our people to harmful products this year, we have established the Township Economy Task Force, which will help also unlock access to local markets. We are partnering with various stakeholders, including the MERSITA, Wholesale and Retail SITA, the National Skills Fund, and UIF, amongst others, to ensure that we provide quality and detailed support for township and rural enterprises. Honorable Chair, can I take water, yo? Thank you. You should have said cheers. Now I will turn to building a capable and responsive portfolio. If you think about organizational maturity model, as a department, we have developed from an establishment phase, which was between 2014 and 2019, and we just came out of a stabilization phase, which was between 2019 and 2024. Honorable members will remember that we started as a chief directorate in the Department of Trade and Industry. Even if I say so myself, we have made good progress in strengthening our internal controls and systems and improving the delivery of key performance outputs. We now receive clean audits, and we have delivered on 80% of our performance targets. On our big target of supporting 40,000 competitive SMMEs and cooperatives across the portfolio, we have overachieved by supporting 50,000 competitive enterprises. 10,000 more deserves a clap. We are now entering a phase of improvement and optimization. We have the basics in place and will now focus more on outcomes, impact, client interface, integration, and partnerships. We'll also focus on value add for money, directing our budget to where it has the most impact. This necessitates that we rapidly sophisticate our research, our knowledge systems, and our monitoring and evaluation. Honorable members, you will see that these are prioritized in our new organogram and related budget. Shifting to an optimized department during the 7th administration also means that we must make strategic use of digital platforms. These are things we will do in partnership with stakeholders in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. This year, we will also establish a portfolio war room to accelerate the execution of priorities. There will be zero tolerance for underperformance and underspending, and we will be strengthening performance management and accountability. As I conclude, honorable members, we stand before you to table a budget that we feel will make a real impact on the lives of our people, even with the little sum that we have. In the 2024-25 financial year, the department is allocated a total of 2.437 billion. This budget is primarily directed towards transfers and subsidies, which accounts for 83.5% or the 2.34 billion rands. Of this, 64% goes to CEDA, whilst 31% goes to CIFA. The department manages the remaining 478.1 million rands, which accounts for 19.6% of the total budget. Honourable members, I would like to thank former Deputy Minister Dipuo Peters, Deputy Minister Jane Sithole, who's our current DM, the portfolio committee members, the department is led by the Acting Director General, the entities led by the board chairs and the CEOs, and all the stakeholders that support the work we do. I therefore table to you the budget vote 24 and call upon everyone to support the work of our portfolio by buying and procuring local products that are produced by the SMMEs and cooperatives. This work is not for yourselves. Kill that spirit, and when you rise, make sure that you lift others with you, as Mayor Charlotte Manyama said. I thank you, House Chairperson.
Thank you, the Honorable Minister. I will now call ANC Honorable Dikhale.
Honorable House Chairperson, Ministers and Deputy Minister present here today, Honorable members of this August House, Acting Director General, your team, CIFA and CEDA Board Chairperson, board members of CEOs, ladies and gentlemen. I greet you all in the name of our founding father, Rolihlahla Nelson Mandela, whom in 6 days from today we would be celebrating his 106 years birthday. May his soul continue to rest in peace as the country emerges from the national general elections. His vision and legacy of a strong and united nation was relived as voters turned out in numbers to once again remind us, as they did in 1994, that unity is sacrosanct, unity is power, and unity is strength. House Chairperson, it is a great honor for me to stand here today in my capacity as a Chairperson of Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development to deliver my maiden budget vote statement. I am sincerely grateful for my nomination and selection for this rather massive responsibility, and I am pleased to accept the challenge and wish to thank all those who have made this possible. I shall indeed rise to the occasion. The people of South Africa have spoken, Chairperson. For us is to support them in any way they need us, and we appreciate the voice that they have given us through their votes. We pledge to cooperate with those who support the government of national unity, and on that score, House Chairperson, I wish to congratulate His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, whose visionary leadership, yes, said it, the ship in a stormy sea. Our founding father Nelson Mandela once said, "It always seems impossible until it is done." Congratulations to his cabinet, all members of parliament, and representatives from national, provincial, and local spheres of government, respectively. House Chairperson, I stand before you here today to declare that the African National Congress supports Budget Vote 36. The foundation of this department illustrates the ANC's commitment to radical economic reform, job creation, and poverty alleviation. We are of a firm view, Chairperson, that adequate support for SMMEs and cooperatives from the government and establishment business will allow them to partake meaningful in the mainstream economy. This budget and plenty others before aims to close the gap between the first and second economies by leveling the playing field. Honorable members, this process of the budget vote debates provides an opportunity for Parliament to discuss and then formally adopt the budgets of government departments and entities that are funded through a parliamentary vote. I am especially grateful that the debate allows us, as members of Parliament, to haul the ministers before this august House to detail their spending priorities of their respective departments and link this to performance outcomes. In this way, they account to Parliament and the public on how public money is being used. This is a very important process in the calendar of Parliament, and it is in fact underscores that we are a democracy. House Chairperson, the National Development Plan, the long-term vision for the country, envisages that country will create 11 million jobs by 2030. The SMME and cooperative sector is mandated to create 90% of the new jobs. This means that the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development Department and its entities bear a critical responsibility of fostering a suitable climate for SMMEs and cooperatives to thrive. However, without sufficient financial support, this responsibility is unlikely to be realized. I am stating this, Chairperson, because from 2019 to 2024, the average budget granted to this department has fluctuated around 2 billion rands, and during the current fiscal year, it has actually decreased from 2.5 billion rands to 2.4 billion rands. In employment discussion, it is often stated that small businesses make up half of the labor force and are crucial for this job creation. We are still faced with the tremendous task of ensuring that we move forward, bringing not only hope to our population, but also substantive positive changes in their lives. We are still dealing with the three challenges of poverty, high unemployment, and inequality. Unemployment in a country is structural, deep-seated, systematic, and persistent. That is why institutions like Statistics South Africa continues to share unsettling statistics with us all. In its first quarter report for 2024, the working age population grew little while unemployment increased, bringing our national unemployment rate to 33%. House Chairperson, the question that we should all be seized with is where would the job come from? On department took portfolio into a confidence with respect to the conundrum it is facing. The projected allocation of 8.4 million was reduced by a staggering of 798 million to 7.6 billion over the medium term, leaving the department with only 2.4 billion during 2024-25 financial year. I respectively submit, House Chairperson, that this is woefully inadequate if we are to diligently carry out the mandate entrusted to us by the NDP. Despite the challenges, Chairperson, consistent with our purpose to create an enabling environment for the establishment and growth of existing small businesses and cooperatives, our collective effort to unlock the potential of SMMEs and cooperatives remains firmly on track. The committee will continue to monitor the department's progress towards the implementation of the policy priorities. As Chairperson and honorable members, you may be aware that towards the end of the 6th Parliament, the committee successfully processed the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, which proposes several progressive interventions to establish the department and improve service delivery area. The new entity, Small Enterprises Development and Finance Agency, a measure of the Small Enterprise Development Agency, the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, and the Cooperative Banks Development Agency, will be established to streamline the work of the three entities to seamlessly provide both financial and non-financial services to South Africa's SMMEs and cooperatives, all at one entry point. This will save many entrepreneurs time and resources, making the processes of obtaining support much simpler and faster. The Portfolio Committee is looking forward to establishment of the Small Enterprise Ombuds Office, which will be a champion for hearing and resolving SMME and cooperative dispute while preserving SMME and cooperative rights. The Office of the Ombuds addresses the lack of effective and inexpensive access to justice for small businesses. This implies that SMME and cooperative now have a cost-effective platform for resolving conflicts with large enterprise government and other SMMEs. In particular, the payment of suppliers on time has driven many small enterprises into oblivion. We are optimistic that the event of the Ombuds Office will decisively put an end to this decade's injustice. We look forward to the President signing this bill into law to allow the department to accelerate implementation efforts. In the midst of the previous government, President Ramaphosa declared that the department will begin the process of reviewing the Business Act of 1991. Business Act allows municipalities to provide trade licenses and permits to both formal and informal businesses that seek to operate within their geographic jurisdiction. During the budget vote briefing, the committee was pleased to learn that the department has already finalized the business licensing policy, and this process will pleasingly culminate into business licensing amendment bill being referred to Parliament. We are hopeful, Chairperson, that this development will help ease the informal trading environment, which in our view is the most regulated and least protected. One of the major challenges level
Honorable
of...
Dikgale,
Yes,
your
I was saying.
time has exhausted, ma'am.
I thank you.
Thank you. I will now go to DA, Honorable Kruger.
Chairperson, Chairperson, can we just note that the ANC did not support this budget? Thank you.
No, when she started, I heard in the middle that she did support the budget.
Thank you, House Chair. Small business development lies the very heart of South Africa's economic progress and social development. I want to acknowledge the entrepreneurial spirit that prospers in every corner of our nation. From bustling informal businesses in rural South Africa to the formal small business sector. They are the lifeblood in our communities, the engines of job creation and the drivers of innovation. Statistics South Africa data shows, however, 1,300 businesses shut their doors in 2023. There may be other underlying causes for this regrettable trend, but the impact of COVID-19 and the load shedding on South African businesses cannot be undervalued. The ease of business has challenges. Access to finance remains a major obstacle, with many entrepreneurs struggling to secure the capital needed to start or expand their ventures. The regulatory environment can be complex and burdensome for those lacking the resources to navigate through this mess. Big business often bully our small businesses. Additional skills development and mentorship opportunities are limited, hindering the growth of our potential small businesses. And Minister, the elephant in this house, or in the house, is red tape, bureaucratic red tape. Die DA verkondig al vanaf 2014 dat romslomp nommer 1 vyand is vir klein sake. Ons het met die regering gedebatteer, opiniestukke in die media geskryf en selfs 2 privaat wetsontwerpe aan parlement voorgelê. En onthou, die departement het nog net 1 wetsontwerp voorgelê. So die DA het al 2 voorgelê, maar nog steeds dink die president dat die oplossing lê by die romslomp eenheid onder leiding van meneer Nkosi. Hierdie eenheid het nog nie 'n enkele knelpunt vir klein sake opgelos nie. Minister, daar lê werk voor om die Suid-Afrika klein sake vriendelik te maak. Parliament needs to adopt a ruthless approach to eradicate red tape. Establishing a parliamentary ad hoc committee to fight red tape over the spectrum of government business is not negotiable. I will fight for the next 5 years for the establishment of such a committee. The department's instability at the senior management service level characterized the effectiveness of service delivery and effective service delivery to small businesses. Since 2014, the department has been unable to keep an accounting officer for more than 24 months. As a guardian of small business enterprise sector in the country, the department has a duty and obligation to ensure that all state organs comply with Section 381F of the Public Finance Management Act. Paying invoices within 30 days is crucial for the survival of small businesses. The department needs to launch an educator to monitor all state entities and track offending invoices. As we look at the future, the potential for small business development in South Africa is immense. The digital revolution opens up new opportunities for small businesses to reach customers and markets beyond their local communities. E-commerce platforms level the playing field, allowing small businesses to compete with more prominent players. The growth of the informal sector presents an opportunity to formalize and integrate these businesses into the mainstream economy, unlocking their full potential. In conclusion, we need to foster a culture of entrepreneurship that celebrates risk-taking, innovation, and diligence. We need to inspire the next generations of entrepreneurs those who will create future jobs and drive our economy forward. We need to instill in them the belief that they have the power to make the difference, no matter how small their business may seem. Developing small business is crucial for the economy and society. The department's mandate is to lead and coordinate integrated approach to develop entrepreneurship, small business and cooperatives. They must also ensure that business-friendly environment is created. However, with a shrinking budget of 4% and an increasing spending of 23% on compensation, one gets the feeling that this could be an uphill task. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. We will now call upon MK, Honourable Mafakhan. And to state that, honourable members, Honourable Mafakhan has made a speech today. So please let us be kind. Yes.
Thank you. Greetings, honourable members. Honourable Chair, I'm humbled and honoured as a servant of the people of South Africa through my party Umkhonto weSizwe under the leadership of President Jacob Zuma to respond to this budget, vote 36 of the Department of Small Business as presented by the Minister of Small Business Development and her team. At the very outset, we reject the budget. At the very outset, Umkhonto weSizwe, at the very outset, it will be important to register the MK Party concern that 30 years into our democratic dispensation, the economy of South Africa is still echoed and skewed in favor of neoliberal market policies, a policy direction brewed and located in ill-fated ideological unsound and previously failed notion of government of national unity of 1994. Ironically, the 7th administration finds itself at the very intersection of yet another GNU, despite this ill-advised concept having unceremoniously collapsed 2 years into its initial experiment in 1996. It surely remains a puzzle to many of our ordinary masses why this failed GNU concept is now being revived after the previous failed attempt. Honourable Chair, the MK Party rightfully enjoys and demands of all its members and public representatives to foreground all its political program in the noble pursuit of reclaiming our birthrights as Africans and developmental agenda squarely rooted in the footsteps of pioneers, heroines and heroes of our struggle for the emancipation of African people from the yoke of colonial rule, such as Nomzamo Winfred Madikizela Mandela, Oliver Reginald Tambo, Chris Hani, Walter Sisulu, and Steve Biko, as well as many other unsung heroes and heroines of our struggle. Most of these brave and gallant sons and daughters of the soil have lost their lives fighting for the recognition and restoration of the dignity of an African child. A mandate the MK Party has reignited through its electoral people's mandate in the recent national and provincial elections. In interrogating the proposed budget of the Department of Small Business and Development, the Umkhonto weSizwe will lend its support or not to the stated development targets and the resource committed thereof. I humbly urge this august House to depart from an understanding and appreciation of a complex yet straightforward condition, an understanding of an appreciation of a complex yet straightforward condition of an ordinary South African listening to or watching this debate. Are we talking to, are we talking with, or are we talking on behalf of the average woman and men, young and old, people living with any form of disability or impairment or not? Outside of the fanciful language, statistics, illustrations and graphs, can we honestly and truthfully say that this budget will make a difference to the very target population we claim to be working for? Kirna, batho ba gešo ba kua Beldrift ga Selwane, ba ko Kwaga, ba ko Tsakane, ba ko Sebokeng, ba ko Morafong, ba kwa Qimba ka mo KZN, ba ko Rustenburg, ba hwetša phetogo na? Are our targets realistic? Are we not repeating the same unfulfilled promises we made the previous years? Chairperson, the government is failing small businesses. Example of non-payments of most of the small businesses leading to their liquidation and demise. On corporate development support program issued early this year, closing on the 9th of February 2024, prospective applications were given a mere 2 weeks to find all the necessary information and submit their application. It's certainly not reasonable to me to expect small businesses, especially from the segment of the population whom we are targeting, to have been in a position to successfully respond to this advert at such a short notice. To add salt to the injury. The requisite application forms were not immediately available on your department's website, despite a very short response period. To some, this unfortunate incident can easily pass as a possible fiscal dump exercise rather than a genuine intervention, given the proximity of the call to financial year end. I'm mentioning all this on behalf of our masses desperately needing support from your department. Surely, if you are serious about assisting vulnerable small businesses, you ought to be conscious of the circumstances and conditions and to enable them rather than create impossible barriers for access. With the former ruling party and current leader of the GNU having such a blemished record when it comes to corruption and public finance malfeasance, we hope this example was not a typical desperate ploy to enable the cronies with state resources as the last kick of a dying horse before you were kicked out of power in the last elections. The MK party has observed that SMEs owned by black people in general and designated groups of disadvantaged groups in particular are marginalized and not enjoying optimal support in a mainstream.
Order, Chair.
Can you please take your seat just behind you? There's a point of order. Yes, Honorable Member.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm rising on point of order on Rule 85. The honourable member on the podium, I know that is the maiden speech, but he's casting aspersion on the President of the Republic because he's saying he's got a track record of corruption. And in terms of Rule 85, she can only do that through a substantive motion. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you very much, Member. Honorable Mafakhan, according to the rules, we don't cast aspersions unless we've got substantive motive that and evidence that would need to produce. So please, on the podium, it is your maiden speech. Can you please withdraw that? Honorable members, please let's allow the honorable member to finish. And the howling is too much, so we are in a very small room. It becomes problematic, please.
Thanks, House Chair. Withdrawn. The MK party has observed that SMMEs owned by black people in general and designated groups of disadvantaged groups in particular are marginalized and not enjoying optimal support in mainstream development, finance, and banking sector. Hence, MKP's resolved on nationalizing of the Reserve Bank and all major banks. Minister, your government has dismally failed small businesses and black people in general over the years. The record of your failures is well documented and glaring, obviously, for everyone to see. The MK Party believes that a genuine development trajectory can only be born of a resolute and unshaken resolve to restore and reclaim our economy through a people-centered approach, through recognizing and privileging localization initiatives, through rejecting neoliberal and colonial legacy-based economics, not through this lip service budget vote. The MK Party rejects this budget and will continue to raise the spear to fight for our masses, to reclaim their economy, their dignity, and their rightful place in the excellence of humanity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. The EFF, there is no name, but...
Enkosi mhlali ngaphambili. The Economic Freedom Fighters rejects the proposed budget of the Department of Small Business Development. This is one of those departments that should not exist. We had agreed in the 6th term of Parliament that this department must be closed and its functions be made program of the Department of Trade, Industry and Coordination. The role of small business in South Africa must be linked with the work of the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, and together with the funding institutions such as the IDC and the industry policy. Entities such as CIFA and others that exist outside the industrial policy and other funding institutions such as IDC and the National Empowerment Fund are simply wasting money that can be used by the desperate small businesses owners who exist without any form of support by government. We are spending too much money on officials and staff members doing work that officials at DTI can do. House Chairperson, what is even more concerning is the fact that the annual performance plan that we are expected as members of Parliament to pass the budget for is dependent on the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, which the President is refusing to sign. This is happening when the National Treasurer continues to table proposed budget with cuts. The department continues to fail to appoint permanent senior managers. It is always acting DG, acting CEOs, or acting CFOs.
Yes, there's a point of order. Can you please take your seat behind you? Yes.
Thank you so much, House Chairperson. I think it is not correct and misleading for any honorable member who took oath to come and lie and say the President has refused to sign. I think members of Parliament must understand the work and the processes that are undertaken before the bills are signed into law. I just wanted to raise that order that an honorable member is not allowed to lie in front of South Africans. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, but that is not a point of order. The member from the Economic Freedom Fighters can continue. I think she was referencing that the President is refusing, but it's not a point of order, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Chair, for protecting me in the lies that are casted by the Minister. This is happening when the National Treasurer continues to table proposed budget with cuts. The department continues to fail to appoint permanent senior managers. Minister Nanzento Fanele ujonge kuyo. It is always acting DG, acting CEOs, or acting CFOs. The only permanent person is the only minister and her team. When we went to public hearings all over the country, small businesses and cooperatives complained that there was no support from the department. SMMEs complained that the department is supporting initiatives by big businesses such as ShopRite, Pick and Pay, who are driving them out of the business of the townships. The requirements to participate in many of these schemes by big companies are designed in such a way that exclude majority of the people in the townships, and the people came with proof to the public hearings to show that the department is colluding with the big businesses to shut them down. Nanso ke Minister. Amabhizinisi asakhasayo adonsa nzima. Kuma townships nala asemaphandleni kakhulukazi kumasipala iZululand uLundi abaqulusi apho ama informal traders kumele ba produce I membership card ye Inkatha Freedom Party ukuze bafumane I support. Wonke ama small businesses kakhulukazi ama informal traders womasipala basemakhaya Eastern Cape, KwaZulu Natal, Northwest nasevembe eLimpopo abakaze baxhamle kwibudget zonke zikaSida noSifa kuze kube namhlanje. To cut budget, you are permanently putting small businesses in mostly disadvantaged situation. House Chairperson, the people who are suffering the most from lack of support in the SMME sector is women. Majority of the people in this sector are women, and many of them are breadwinners. Women do not receive any support. The only thing that they are exposed to on a daily basis is the harassment by the police in the streets of Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, and Tshwane because they do not have permits. Instead of helping them to get permits, they take their goods and go and share at the police station. When this happens, there is a family that is going to bed hungry. Many in SME sector are there because of employment, but they end up suffering more. As the EFF, we are not going to support this proposed budget, and we will continue to call for the proper industrial policy that is linked with the SMME so that we can create jobs, support women in the SMME space, and grow the economy. The Chairperson Manpate Le Pen, konukuze Minister, aynikeze uMnumzana uSiril Ramaphosa asayine le bill. Ipasile mos. Ngoku ingxaki iphi sabanjwa indoda enye ngomtyikityo nje wayo. Through you chair ngicela ukuyidlulisela ku Minister. Thank you very much. Note that we reject this budget with its cuts. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The IFP, Honorable Zondo.
Honorable Chairperson, thank you very much. Honorable Minister, I think it's an insult to South Africans to reject budget for small business, because you can't say you are fighting for people, and when it's time to pass budgets that talks to their needs, and you come here and
Yes, Honorable Member.
Chairperson, as much as basi debate makunga tetwa amanga kuthiwe si rejecta budget cut ikhathiwe ayo budget inciphisiwe. Enkosi Chair.
Honorable Member, that's not a point of order. Please continue.
I think, Honourable Chair, this is a proof that some of us came here just to stand and not to represent the people that have voted us to this parliament. We've come here to combine our manifestos as the mandate of the people to say that all the parties go to parliament and work together in order to produce policies and budgets that will talk to uplift the life of the people. So we've come here to urge that the budgets of departments must be able to accommodate different manifestos and make sure that they come up with the approach that is appropriate to uplift the life of our people. As a country, we need to recognize the indispensable role that the small business sector plays in contributing to our nation's GDP. It is imperative that our government harness the full potential of this sector in order to benefit all, as has been demonstrated in the growth of ratio of our developing countries. Our goal is to achieve economic freedom for all who live in South Africa. As we usher in a new government dispensation, in accordance with the will of the South African people, we therefore need to continue to impress upon our leaders to prioritize the advancement of the sector to achieve this collective goal. The small business sector serves some of the most vulnerable members of our society. It is our goal, it is our government responsibility to ensure that the favorable condition for small, micro, and medium enterprise and entrepreneurs to strive. Despite notable reduction in this load shedding in the recent months, it is important to remember that the effect of it linger and disproportionate impact on the small business sector, resulting in a further hike in the rate of unemployment. It is this reason, House Chair, that the IFP urged government to delicately implement the Energy Action Plan concerning the deprive of a vulnerable small business, including those in township and rural areas. The budgetary allocation of this department, small business development, should reflect and align with this objective. It is time to prepare South African past economy bearer toward true economic freedom and not just a waxy lingering. With this concern in mind, the IFP accepts this budget, and we want to also urge the minister to make sure that this budget goes straight to the people who need it, not just to pass budgets that at the end of the day will not help the people that we are representing. In our manifesto going to the election, it was on the top to make sure that the local economic is developed. And we make sure that we take away people who are taking our economy. We make sure that we own our economy. And we make sure that our small business also contribute in terms of eradicating unemployment rate in South Africa. We want to eradicate poverty, and we'll make sure that we make the environment conducive for our small business to thrive. So it is upon you, Minister, and the department to make sure that people find joy in this government. Thank you very much.
Stand there, man. Why are you leaving? You know you can leave.
Honorable Member. Honorable Member, no, you can't do that. If you have raised a point of order while he was speaking, I was about to take you, but he had finished his speech. So you can't say, no, leave. You can't do that, no. You can't do that. Let us preserve respect for all of us, because you would want another person to also do the same to you and respect you in a manner that you would want them to respect. So please, let us preserve that. It's a plea, Honorable Member. Thank you. Honorable, I will now call PA. There's no name that is Patriotic Alliance. Oh, they were not here. ActionSA. Unfortunately, there are no names that were provided, but it's Honorable Ngobeni.
Thank you, Chairperson. Honorable members, fellow South Africans, Bahesu Dumelang. We stand at a critical juncture in our nation's history. The budget for small business development is not a mere line item. It is a vital resource for millions of South Africans who are tirelessly working to carve a better life for themselves, their families, and their communities. Yet, the current allocation does not address the fundamental challenges of our local entrepreneurs. We as ActionSA demand more. With a profound sense of urgency and responsibility, we launched the Spaza for Locals campaign in April this year. This campaign was not just a strategy, it has the potential to be a powerful tool for the revitalization of our townships and rural areas. To be clear, Spaza does not refer to corner shops only. The word captures the spirit of innovation, resilience, and imagination of our people who started these businesses during the dark days of apartheid. It is designed to put South Africans first, take back the township economy, empower local entrepreneurs, create jobs, and foster sustainable economic growth. It is high time that we deal with the proliferation of illegal foreign nationals dominating the Spaza economy throughout our country. We must strive to emancipate ourselves from the idea that putting ourselves first implies hatred for others, because nothing could be furthest from the truth. However, it will only succeed if we make bold decisions that prioritize South Africans in everything we do. It is a reality that local entrepreneurs face insurmountable obstacles, limited access to finance, inadequate infrastructure, and institutional support. The Spaza for Locals campaign is a response to these challenges. To that end, we propose three things: that this department rename the Township and Revitalization Policy Framework, otherwise known as TRAP, which sounds like you're trying to trap someone, and instead use simple, accessible language like Spaza Support Framework. The people all over South Africa must know that these opportunities exist to provide low-interest loans and grants to locally owned and operated Spaza shops. Second, we must dedicate ourselves to establishing Spaza trade zones in our townships and rural areas. These zones must have essential infrastructure, including secure trading spaces, storage facilities, and reliable utilities. And third, we call for the drafting of the Reserved Sectors Bill, which will prioritize South Africans in specific sectors of our economy, particularly small and informal businesses. We must use legislative instruments to ensure that South Africans have the first priority to benefit from the economic activities in their communities. Money must circulate among us and for us to deal with capital flight. This is not about exclusion, it is about empowerment. This was the promise of the new South Africa, when the flurry of black entrepreneurs and industrialists would burst onto the scenes of economic activity was expected. Real ones, not those who profit from government tenders without adding real value, the tenderpreneurs. On the other hand, it is worth noting, Madam Minister, that we are pleased that the department's plans include an effort to cut red tape and make it easier for entrepreneurs to enter the scene. This is indeed a step in the right direction, and we commend the department for that. Honorable members, the time for rhetoric is over. It is time for action. We must recommit ourselves to restoring the dignity of our people. And so, Chairperson, in ActionSA, not in good conscience, can support this budget without the stated emphasis on putting South Africans first. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I will now call upon the Deputy Minister of Small Business Development.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. House Chair, I see that it's written 5 minutes there. I hope that I've got 10 minutes. Thank you. Do I have 10 minutes?
No, it's actually 5 minutes, not 10.
Thank you, House Chair. It is also my maiden speech. I thought I'll get grace from you. Honorable Chair, it is a great honor and a privilege for me.
Deputy Minister, sorry, no, it's 5 minutes. I've just checked with the table. It's 5 minutes. It might have been written in a wrong, yes, but let us not use this opportunity to say it's 10, it's 5. Even in the previous mini plenaries, all deputy ministers were given 5 minutes. But I wanted all honorable members to acknowledge that it is your maiden speech, but it was not written here that it's your maiden speech, so that is not actually my problem. Thank you.
Honorable Chair, the document that I received actually said 10 minutes, so.
Okay, you can continue for now. We are still consulting of what is actually happening because there's 2 times that are written here. So while we consult, you can continue with your speech, ma'am.
House Chair.
Thank you, House Chair.
House Chair. On a point of order. Yes, ma'am. The rules of Parliament are clear on the allocation of time per party. And it must be made forthrightly on the onset how much time is allocated to the member on the podium. You can't make a determination about that halfway towards the end of a speech. Can you please make a determination before she starts speaking?
No, honorable member, I am not going to take that because on my form, the member is correct. There at the bottom it's written 10 minutes, but here it's stipulated 5 minutes. So we must actually get the correct time. So that is an administrative issue. It's not an issue of this House. But she was raising it as a deputy minister because she knows that she was allocated 10 minutes. So that is administrative. We'll take care of it this side, and there is no need then to engage on this issue, and I'm not opening it up for any discussion up until we consult and come back with the correct time. Thank you.
Thank you, House Chair.
Please continue, Deputy Minister.
Honorable Chairperson of the sitting, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development, members of members of the Portfolio Committee, Minister of Small Business Development, Ms. Stella Ndabeni Abrahams, honorable members, ministers and deputy ministers present, members of the Portfolio Committee on Small Business Development, ladies and gentlemen. It is also a great honor and privilege for me to be delivering my maiden speech in this day and month, which is the Mandela Month. The first democratic president, His Excellency, President Nelson Mandela, captured our mission correctly when addressing the National Conference on Small Business when he observed, and I quote, "In order to develop the SMME sector in South Africa, we need to take into account inherited obstacles, particularly barriers to markets, lack of access to business finance, and supportive institutions. The 7th administration is bestowed with the agency to deliver services to all South Africans. In the context of the Government of National Unity, we are all expected to work together for the betterment of the lives of our citizens. South Africa still faces many challenges, including poverty, inequality, and high levels of unemployment, especially amongst the young people of this country. The call to speed up the service delivery across all sectors of the economy, society, and a concerted effort to advance redress of the imbalances of all forms is a clarion call of the entire leadership of the 7th administration to leave no one behind as we provide services to our people. Honorable Chairperson, I will build on the platform that the Minister has established and talk specifically to issues of red tape, cooperatives development, informal traders, and micro-enterprise support, as well as support for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. On the matter of ease of doing business, we know that the red tape that frustrates SMMEs is found in the local sphere of government. During the 2023-24 financial year, the department assisted 55 municipalities with red tape awareness training against an annual target of 30 municipalities. For the 2024-25 financial year, the department aims to conduct awareness training in 30 local municipalities. We must tackle the issue of red tape head on so that no one is left behind. It is frustrating for small businesses indeed to go through such and that end up sometimes killing their businesses. Last year, the department concluded the regulatory impediments implementation report, which sets out the activities and timelines to address regulatory constraints across various spheres of government. The department is now engaging with the championing departments to to address these pieces of legislation to see how reforms can be activated. The department will enhance its monitoring role. During the 2024-25 financial year, we will focus on developing sector indicators for red tape reduction and ease of doing business. This will be monitored through the Intergovernmental Relations and Interprovincial Ease of Doing Business forums. Honorable Chair, the department will also this year move to establish the Office of the Small Business Ombuds. This will be enabled through the National Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, which is currently with the President for assent. This will begin to address the issue of non-payment and late payments of SMMEs by government and the private sector, which causes tens of thousands of small businesses to shut shop each year. The department will also this year finalize the Business Licensing Amendment Bill, which will streamline business licensing procedures and costs. Honorable Chairperson, allow me to speak to the matter of cooperatives development. This is an area we are improving, as demonstrated by the Small Enterprise Amendment Bill, where we are bringing the Cooperatives Bank Development Agency as part of the single entity we are creating as a department. This year, we will target 250 cooperatives, with 40 being supported financially and 210 supported with non-financial support. The budget allocation for 2024-25 is 62 million. We must put more emphasis on sustainability, on cooperatives being supported with market access, and cooperatives getting an integrated package of both financial and non-financial business support. Honorable members, in respect of the informal economy and micro-enterprise that are a buffer to the impoverished and unemployed communities.
Please, no, I just wanted to come back to that issue. It is indeed an omission that they made in the office. You were allocated 10 minutes instead of 5. So the responses just came in now that you are allocated 10. So in that 5 seconds of yours, I wanted them to allocate more 5 minutes so that you can wrap up and I don't disturb you furthermore. Thank you.
Thank you, House Chair. In respect of the informal economy and micro-enterprise that are a buffer to the impoverished and unemployment in communities, we have adopted a holistic approach by providing support to the small businessmen and women. We do this by supporting the informal micro-enterprises, including cutting red tape, providing infrastructure within which informal enterprise can operate, allowing traders to do business in the CBD and at busy transport hubs where there is much foot traffic. They also need microfinance, such as that provided through CIFA's wholesale lending to microfinance intermediaries. The formal business support is provided through various instruments that include the spaza shop support, which was extended to 1,525 spaza shops to the value of 14.5 million in grant facilities, as well as the informal micro-enterprise development program, which is a 100% grant offered to informal and micro-enterprise from the minimum grant amount of 500 up to the maximum of 15,000. During the 2023-24, we allocated 20 million for informal micro-enterprises development program, and we are able to support 2,045 informal businesses. Based on the success of the program, we have increased the allocation, and for 2024-25 have provided a budget of 37.3 million. Allow me to talk to our interventions targeting youth, women, and people living with disabilities. Enabling youth entrepreneurship remains a priority for our country, and we have seen the Youth Challenge Fund going through its teething problems, but now being ready for scaling. For this reason, during 2023-24, we have allocated 67.9 million, which was dispersed by CIFA to youth-owned businesses via the Youth Challenge Fund against an allocation of 79 million. The Small Business Development Portfolio provided financial and or non-financial support to 18,843 startup youth businesses during the period under review against the revised 2029-24 medium-term strategic framework
of 10,000 startups, youth businesses supported per annum. The broader target for 2024-25 for SIFA disbursements is 649 million to youth-owned businesses. Our efforts to build youth entrepreneurs must be integrated into the design of the fund of funds that the Minister spoke about, so that youth startups and early-stage innovators get the support they require. We must lift people out of poverty. We must set this country on a growth trajectory so that we create a conducive environment for SMMEs to thrive. Through SIFA, 811 million was dispersed to 78,194 women-owned businesses and 26.8 million to SMMEs owned by people with disabilities. In spite of the budget cuts to the department, these SIFA disbursements are set to increase to 866 million to women-owned businesses and 64 million to businesses owned by persons with disabilities. This is encouraging, but like with youth, we need the entire ecosystem to be more enabling for women and enterprises owned by people living with disabilities. Honorable Chair, the residents of our country have made it clear that they want us to work together, and we all have a duty to make sure that we leave no one behind. I thank you, House Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Minister. I will be chairing from this point onwards. I'm now calling Honourable Kwankwa from... Oh, sorry, hold on. Honourable Thing is next. Sorry, apologies.
Thank you, Honourable House Chairperson. The ACDP is cognizant of the fact that in any thriving and developing economy, it is small businesses that create the jobs and provide the most opportunities for poor people to earn a living. As President Ramaphosa said, a vibrant community of small businesses is a valuable asset to any society, and the conditions under which such companies operate need to be altered to encourage them in this. The ACDP notes that the department received approximately 2.4 billion rand, representing a reduction in the budget of approximately 92 million rand. In our view, the reduction in spending capacity will have a snowball effect, slowing down expenditure on vital financial support to SMMEs and cooperatives. It bears mentioning that the National Development Plan envisaged the creation of approximately 11 million additional jobs between 2010 and 2030, identifying that small and expanding firms should be able to create 90% or some 9.9 million of those jobs. Putting the COVID period aside, where some 2 to 3 million jobs were lost, and load shedding, which has kept our economy on perpetual pause, this department still needs to fill 90 vacancies, or 28% of the 322 planned staff complement. With 6 years to go to create 11 million jobs, the economy underperforming, unemployment and poverty increasing, the department must admit failure in achieving the targets of SMME growth. The ACDP expresses concern on the inverse proportional relationship between performance outcomes and expenditure. This indicates inefficiencies in expenditure, which invariably means the delivery of services to SMMEs are negatively affected. Clearly, then, to improve on its spending efficiency, this department must ensure that budget expenditure is aligned with performance against plan targets. Honourable House Chairperson, the reduced budget, perpetual red tape, the postponements in the finalisation of the merger of the entities that should be providing support for SMMEs is disconcerting. It was hoped that the establishment of the new one-stop shop with the merger of SIFA, CBDA and CEDA would go a long way in making a dent in narrowing the credit gap and improving access to finance for SMMEs. It is the view of the ACDP that in order to save taxpayers' money, this department would be better placed under the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition, where one could then leverage on the economies of scale, improve inefficiencies and reduce duplicity.
Your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I will be calling Honorable Kwankwa. Thank you. Honorable Kwankwa in the House. Okay, we'll call Honorable Webster. Honorable Webster, thank you.
Thank you to the House Chair, Honourable Minister, Honourable Members of Parliament, South Africans who are watching. Today we consider the Department of Small Business Development's budget, plans and priorities for the medium term. This department is one of the youngest, having been created or established only 10 years ago, with the mandate to place SMMEs at the centre of economic growth and of job creation. On paper, it makes a lot of sense, considering that, as the previous honourable member has said, the NDP states that 90% of all new jobs created by 2030 will be by SMMEs. It's an ambitious goal. However, it is almost impossible to measure. No available statistics can reliably account for which new jobs are created and where they come from. What we can measure, though, is that new jobs are few and far between, with 11 million willing citizens in South Africa unable to find a job. South Africa boasts one of the highest unemployment rates in the world. To effectively set up SMMEs to create 90% of new jobs will require for us to be able to better rate the performance of this department and measure the performance of this department. It all looks good on paper, in glossy brochures and APPs, but I do have to say that on interrogation of the department's plans and programs, it appears to be a lot of fluff and, as the young people would say, vibes. We need to be able to better and effectively define how much funding is needed in order to create a set amount of jobs in a set period by SMMEs. We need to be able to define how we measure the quality and longevity of SMMEs, of cooperatives, and of the jobs that are created. Once we can answer these questions, Minister, and other questions, we can then justify requesting more funding for Treasury to turn this into a super ministry that creates rapid job creation. Finally, the department's Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program is key to expanding the economy so that we can create more jobs. But we have to be more ambitious about the township economy than SPAZAs. As Build One SA, we have maintained that we need to broaden our imagination on the types of new SMMEs that are created and grown, particularly in townships and rural areas. 5 billion allocation to this program must ensure it contributes to township businesses and rural businesses properly being industrialized and commercialized, but it does need more funds, Minister, and 5 billion over the medium term is just not enough. That we agree on. The unemployment crisis in this country is a ticking time bomb, and small business can be the solution if we afford it the weight it deserves in appropriation and accountability. I thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Honorable Zungula. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Minister, the structure of the economy has not changed since 1994. The economy is still in the hands of few companies and few families, and it is only SMMEs that can change this unfortunate reality. However, SMMEs can change this reality if there is a government spending that is above 50% on SMMEs, and any government contract or tender must show priority on SME spending. It can't be, Minister, that the NDP says by 2030, 90% of the jobs will be coming from SMMEs, yet SMMEs are only allocated less than 20% of government spending. If the government is serious about achieving the NDP goals, it must be backed up by legislation that is intentional about SMME spending. Minister, SMMEs don't want you to only come here wearing SMME produce brands only in these debates. They want systematic solutions to their problems, which includes their invoices being paid on time, government departments being compelled to buy from SMMEs, and most importantly, access to markets. Minister, the citizens that are trading in the informal sector are trading for survival. The government is lacking care by failing to protect such vulnerable people. Go to any township, village, or small town. All economic activities are either in the hands of big companies or foreigners, which are dominating all economic activities in that space. Yet we have the highest level of unemployment in our country. Akho to Minister onovela ngaphaya e-Asia, as a South Africa, as azosithengisela igusha. Minister, protect South Africans who are trading in that business sector because they are trading for their next meal. And it is unfortunate that now the foreigners that are operating in the spaza sector do not want South Africans to trade there. They are even going to an extent of killing South Africans who want to open spaza shops. In Ratanda, Heidelberg, we have lost so many South Africans from that crime. We plead with you, Minister, work with the law enforcement agencies to deal with those crimes, including the crimes of extortion that are continuing to kill small businesses. In your last budget debate, Minister, you spoke about the business inspectors that will investigate all businesses operating in the small business sector and ensure that they comply with the laws of our country. Ziphi, Minister, as inspectors. Lastly, Minister, we want in a South Africa whereby all the spazas, hardware stores, cell phone shops, and most importantly, all businesses in the sector are proudly owned by South Africans. South Africans in general and black South Africans in particular must dominate all economic activities. Thank you.
Next, someone to check is a member from Al Jamar in the House. Is there a speaker from Al Jamar? Okay. Is there a speaker from NCC? Okay, then we will continue on with the next speaker, and that will be Honorable Singh, and this will be a maiden speech. Welcome.
Honorable House Chairperson, at our meeting this past Wednesday, when the department's APP was presented, there was general consensus regarding the impediments to small business development in South Africa. It was stated, according to the National Development Plan in 2011, 90% of new jobs will be created by small and medium-sized enterprises by 2030. This equates to 9.9 million jobs. The pertinent question is therefore, are we on track to achieve this? And if not, what are we, as the 7th Parliament, going to do to turn this around? The facts paint a grim picture. Over 9,500 businesses were liquidated from 2019 to 2023, and this does not take into account businesses that closed down without being formally liquidated. According to Stats SA, over 1,300 businesses shut their door in 2023 alone. Between 70 to 80% of small businesses fail in the first 5 years. It is therefore no coincidence that we have an unacceptably high unemployment rate of 32.9%, which rises to 42.4% when one includes discouraged job seekers. Clearly, existing legislation, policies, and programs have not been successful. This is the business bloodbath leading up to our term, and the need for change has come, and this change has to be brought about by us in this 7th Parliament. Small businesses are the backbone of our economy, driving innovation, creating jobs, and fostering economic growth. Creating an enabling environment for small business to thrive and unlock their full potential must be driven by this department. Business in general, and small business in particular, cannot function viably without stable electricity and water supply, proper roads, utilities infrastructure, and the like. The administrative burden or red tape and certain labor regimes also cut across other departments. I trust that our minister and our deputy minister will take up the case and pursue favorable policy and legislative changes at the executive level. And now for the job at hand for this committee. We need to acknowledge and understand the fundamental challenges faced by small business and then produce the necessary legislative, policy, and regulatory framework to create an enabling environment. Decisions taken must be backed by evidence, and we must leverage on models that have successfully worked in other parts of the world. Increasingly, entrepreneurs in South Africa are reluctant to start new business, limiting the creation of desperately needed jobs in our country. According to the latest World Competitiveness Yearbook, South Africa is ranked 60 out of 67 countries in 2024 in terms of the regulatory burden of starting a business. We have to strengthen South Africa's startup ecosystem, making it easier to start a business and help foster entrepreneurship and business growth. Navigating complex regulatory requirements can be time-consuming and costly. Simplifying regulatory processes, providing clear guidelines, and establishing one-stop shops for business registration and compliance will ease this burden. It is imperative that we advocate for and implement policy reforms that ease the regulatory burden on small businesses. We must aim to broaden the collective bargaining system, to enhance the representation of bargaining parties, and exempt SMMEs from the administrative extension of bargaining council agreements. These agreements frequently overlook the financial viability of smaller entities. Exempting SMMEs from these obligations will make it cheaper and easier for them to hire people while allowing for company-level flexibility. Effective mechanisms to improve access to funding, access to markets, and access to critical market information and resources must be prioritized. The significant gap in business and technical skills among small business owners and their employees must be addressed by investing in vocational training, business development services, and mentorship programs. Research and development initiatives must be supported to foster innovation and competitiveness amongst SMMEs. Providing incentives for technology adoption, offering training on digital tools, and supporting tech-based incubators and accelerators are essential steps forward. The Democratic Alliance believes in building a capable state and that the state's role is to create an enabling and inclusive environment where every individual, regardless of their background, can start a business with ease, enabling them to access economic prosperity. South Africa needs to become a country of entrepreneurs, not simply employees. It is incumbent on the 7th Parliament to be an engine for small business generation. I thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list we have Honorable Skosana. Honorable Skosana, welcome.
Ngiyathokoza sihlalo ohloniphekileko mhlonitshwa ngqongqotshe hlonitshwa sekela ngqongqotshe malunga ahloniphekileko sizwe sekhethu lotshani sihlalo ohloniphekileko. Small businesses employ a large percentage of people in South Africa. Their formal employment rate is still lower than that of OECD nations, which is between 60 and 70%. Small businesses generated 2.3 trillion rands, or 22% of the 10.5 trillion rands total formal business turnover, according to Stats SA 2023 breakdown of turnover by business size. Large businesses made up the largest share of the total turnover, accounting for just over 2/3, which is 68% of it, while medium-sized businesses contributed the least, which is 10%. This demonstrates unequivocally that small businesses are crucial to the economy and will propel growth in South Africa. While we are grateful for the 1.7% increase in funding from the previous administration, we still have room for lobbying and vigorous discussion, as the current amount will not be sufficient for the programs of the department, which include the Cooperative Development Support Program, the Business Viability Program, the Township and Rural Entrepreneurship Program, and the Small Enterprise Manufacturing Support Program. The department's overall budget is 7.6 billion rands, which will grow from 2.5 billion rands in 2023-2024 to 2.7 billion rands in 2026-2027 at an average annual rate of 1.7%. Over the MTEF period, transfers to organizations that assist SMMEs are expected to make up 80.4% or 6.1 billion rands of the department's budget, and 4.1 billion rands of this amount will go to the Small Enterprise Development Agency, and the remaining portion will go to the Small Enterprise Finance Agency, which is SEFA. We believe as the ANC that this will guarantee an increase in the revenue base of the SMME sector and consequently a rise in the number of jobs created locally. The department and its entities need to provide the necessary support for small businesses to access both domestic and international markets. Malunga hloniphekileko, the National Small Business Amendment Act of 2004 allowed for the establishment of the Small Enterprise Development Agency, SEDA, in 2004, implementing the government's small business strategy, creating a uniform national delivering network for the growth of small businesses, and integrating government-funded small business support agencies throughout the government are among the agency's mandate. The department's medium-term goals will center on giving SMMEs, cooperatives, township and rural enterprises, startups, and more access to financial and non-financial support, introducing them to international markets, renovating or constructing approved business infrastructure for them, and assisting informal businesses through the program for the development of informal and micro enterprises. Another reason that makes us to support the budget is the fact that the Enterprise Development, Innovation and Entrepreneurship Program has allocated 38.4 million rands to the Craft Customized Sector Program in order to support a targeted 3,000 crafters in both financial and non-financial support in the upcoming period. I thought you would clap hands, honorable members. The Product Markets Program is allocated 198 million rands over the MTEF period in the Integrated Cooperatives and Micro Enterprise Development Program to give working capital, business infrastructure, business development services, and information access to informal and micro enterprises in a targeted 21 product markets. Of this sum, an estimated 101 million rand is set aside for these businesses to purchase equipment they require. The department and government are determined to address the exorbitant interest that dishonest micro-lenders charge on CFA funding, to guarantee that SMMEs have far less of an administrative burden and can concentrate more on the growth of their businesses. Red tape needs to be reduced. There is a need to improve operations of the department, to increase awareness on MFIs and RFIs, to ensure that they are following the government's mandate of making finance available to all small enterprises and ensure equitable spread. The organization will keep fostering business viability, competitiveness, and localization over the medium term, with an emphasis on the growth of informal, township, and rural enterprises through the upkeep of incubators in these areas. Additional resources for this project will come from a range of government and non-government sources. The agency intends to carry out a cooperatives development support program. Malunga hloniphekileko, we're also happy that training for business development support will be provided to a targeted 12,500 spaza shops and general dealers, most of whom are located in rural areas through these partnerships. The initiative's expenditures are covered by the agency's National Skills Fund allotment. The National Development Plan has made projections that by the year 2030, there will be an estimated additional 2 million jobs that can be created by the informal sector in South Africa, which will greatly assist in achieving long-standing goals of the NDP, which are to reduce poverty, unemployment, and inequality. It then becomes of utmost importance for the government to ensure that there is provision to small businesses for both financial and non-financial support. Malunga hloniphekileko, we appreciate all political parties that have supported this particular budget, and we also note those who say they are not supporting. Honorable Mafagane, yes, you are raising very important matters, but it's going to be important for you to attend committee meetings so that you've got a greater understanding and appreciations of what the department has achieved, and also the challenges that the department is faced with.
On point of order.
Please grab a seat. Thank you. Point of order, please proceed.
We had one committee meeting and I was present. Thank you, Honorable Member.
It's not a point of order.
Can you please withdraw? No. You must withdraw that I don't attend.
Okay. No, we appreciate that you attended, but you are speaking like a person who did not attend the meeting. You are speaking like a person who's like a community member who's attending an IDP in Bizo, in a community where the mayor is addressing, then is raising issues.
Order, Chair.
Point of order.
Thank you, Chair. We want this House to note that we were in the meeting with the same member. All ANC members were not there in such an extent that the meeting was postponed to the next day. So we must not mislead the nation about the attendance while you must fix your issues. Thank you.
Okay, before the speaker gets up, could I just ask all members of this committee and of this House to please honor the rules of the House. A point of order has to be according to the rules of the House. None of those two statements or comments or whatever those words is not a point of order. Could this be noted by everybody? Thank you. We will start censuring people for not doing what the rules say. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Continue, but please, Mr. Speaker, also, will you also make sure that you stick to the rules of the House and not personalize attacks at honorable members? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, what is important, honorable members, as honorable members of this House who have taken an oath, we've got a responsibility, all of us, across all political parties, to play an oversight role to the executive and hold the executive accountable. And we can't do so through grandstanding. We must do so through attending committee meetings, get reports, raise questions, and give advice. So we can't do that through grandstanding. Honorable Matulelo, I'm very disappointed from the EFF that she's saying that the government must do away with this Department of Small Business. Maybe Honorable Matula does not know why the department was created. This department is only 10 years old. It was created because previously issues of small business were not getting attention from the then Department of Economic Development.
Order, Chair.
And sit down. Can I please make sure that this is a point of order as per the rules? Thank you. Which rule are you raising a point of order?
On Rule 85. Chair, I'm rising on Rule 85. We are mass Rule 85-14. Ndifuna ulungisa apha. Sibe ne meeting sa waste ixesha lethu on Tuesday. Amalungu we-ANC ebewefakiwe not la afike on Wednesday. La ngamatsha la athetha apha. Asifuna abantu abazozo-grandstanda ke apha while they are failing to attend community meetings. So, Chairperson, please protect us from the lies on the speaker. Thank you.
Comrades, before the speaker continues, can I ask, I won't say comrades, I'll say all honorable members of parliament, could you behave like honorable members of parliament and obey? No, it's not a debate when you raise a point of order. A point of order has specific rules that you follow, and you have to do it according to those rules. So can I ask that everybody please not interrupt all the time? We have a constitutional mandate to fulfill to allow each speaker to continue and finish their debate. Can we let them finish the debate? A point of order has to be raised on a specific matter that is in the rule books. So continue, please. You have 59 seconds. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
No, ngiyathokoza Sihlalo. Yeah, I'm sure our people at home are very disappointed, especially the poorest of the poor, because small business, in the main, they are servicing the poor, the working class and the poor. And I thought that the EFF is representing that constituency. But they are saying we must do away with the department that assists the poorest of the poor, dealing with small businesses. They say that department, we must do away with it. So I'm very much disappointed. I never expected that, especially from the economic freedom fighters. We acknowledge, I think, a very important points that are raised by the Honorable Zungula. Well, for you, I know you are a small party. You can't be able to attend all committees. But then we appreciate that you are coming here to debate and raise this issue. But you have raised very critical matters which we think the department must take them into consideration. Sihlalo, as the ANC, we support budget vote 36.
Time has expired. Thank you. We will now ask the Honourable Minister of Small Business Development to come and speak. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Indeed, Honourable Skosana, I don't know what did you expect, because others would really want to wish the department to be closed. It tells of the story of VBS and many other institutions that had to suffer in the hands of those that call themselves honourable. Honourable members, the performance of the department is in the public, and our reports are publicly available for members to read, and I will invite the Secretary to provide those. As the department, we continue to provide quarterly reports in Parliament, and as indicated in the final quarter of the previous final year.
Honourable Minister, could you just excuse us for 1 second to grab a seat? I have a point of order that's being raised. Could you please raise the point of order?
Ngiyabonga Minister wami ngenhlonipho. Ugogo nje ukuncala ecela ukukubuza. Ukuthi lento enikhuluma ngaba nikhuluma nje ngentuthuko somabhizinisi abancane. Nisazoqala yini ngoba phela nikwazi. Nisazokufunda yini? Ngoba ngaze ngibone.
Under which rule are you speaking? Which point of order are you raising?
Tin.
Okay, please continue, Madam Speaker. Honourable Minister, please continue. Okay, just hold on. Honourable Member, could you please hold your comments for afterwards? Thank you. Please continue.
Thank you so much. As I indicated earlier, that the department has achieved 80% of the target set. Now, there's everything wrong with someone's mentality who believes that 80% of set targets that are achieved, that is dismal failure. We need a new dictionary for some wording. the real performance that can be measured, and we invite members to take a journey with us to oversight this work. And indeed, Mama, asiqali namhlanje uzokwenza izithembiso. As you are aware, we've been doing this work in the past 9 years, as we are turning 10 now. We will continue improving where there are weaknesses, but of course, I wouldn't blame those that don't want to see anything. Ngoba isho neBhayibhile, Nkosi ilusizi kulabo abangaboni kodwa benamehlo. We agree, honorable members, that our fiscal envelope is not sufficient, but we are moving beyond mourning, but forming strategic partnerships with other departments and the private sector to attract more funds through collaboration. In the last financial year, we had a strategic relationship with the European Union, and we are counted to South Africans. We created many jobs, and we had many departmental programs that were supported. Also, honorable members, we are having a strategic relationship, as I indicated, with UIF, which seeks to put more than 2 billion rands into the work of SMMEs. That is government, whether we like it or not. I mention this, honorable members, for us to appreciate that there's work being done to attract more funds. As noze sihlale siyenze izililo zikaYeremiya. All kwethu is to acknowledge that there's a crisis, and therefore, if there's a crisis, it means somebody must provide a solution, just like we have provided a solution with the GNU, ephefumlisa abantu ngenxeba. We agree, honorable members, that it is high time that we have set aside segments for SMMEs within our economy, and the business licensing policy with the National Business Licensing Bill will bring this into realization. The more we participate, we'll understand the legislations and the process within government works in case we have already forgotten because we crossed the floor. Honorable members, the old record is scratchy now. This department is here to stay. Small business development will not again be a child of any department, Honorable Matulelwa. It is illogical to believe that taking our department back to DTIC would empower SMMEs. Right above us, there's a number of SMMEs who have benefited from the mere 2 billion that we have. It is a shame to say, abenzanga nto urhulumente kunye nabo. I would like to invite all the service providers or the clients of SIFA that have been funded from Arion up there, the energy generating, they must see all of you. Please stand up. Ngoba abanye bacinga fani basithetha amabali asibalisimabali ngurhulumente asinqweneli. There is Mr. Wade Mueller, who's up there from here in Cape Town, who's doing well. Please buy shoes from him. Honorable Zungula, it is important to procure from locally produced products, especially by SMMEs. It starts with buying. When you procure, then there's an invoice. You can't have an invoice that must be paid in 30 days without you procuring a service. But I don't expect everyone to pay, because for some honorable members, they're here to politic about the challenges that are faced by our SMMEs. Shame to you, fresh from an electoral mandate that puts their hopes in all of you. And others come and grandstand rejecting the budget, but they say they are representing the public and the SMMEs. Which ones, if you don't want them to get any support? By the way, we are aware that these are self-serving individuals because they will continue to get their salary and perks in parliament, but they expect the SMMEs out there not to benefit from government. We are never going to allow that to happen in our country. Shame unto you. Just like our struggle icon said, Mama Winnie Madikizela Mandela of the ANC said, one of the greatest things I fear is letting down my people. I wouldn't live with that type of conscience of having let down my people after they've been brutalized for so long, and I add, especially by people who have experienced oppression and now want to come and act holier than thou. We have walked that path. We see through, right through you. And therefore we will do the best to serve our people. Hence we remain the...
Order, Chair. I'm rising on a point of order. The Minister... Rule 85. Honorable Chair, I'm rising on Rule 85.
Please, make a point of order. What is the point?
Thank you, Chair. Can you please protect me from these who are howling in this house? Thank you, Chair. My point is, the minister must not come here and grandstand on Mama Winnie Mandela, Winnie Madikizela Mandela. Chairperson, the minister is saying they are taking inspirations from her, but they did a GNU of apartheid under her name. They cannot come here and celebrate Mama Winnie Mandela. Not now, not anymore. Thank you.
Please continue.
Thank you, Chairperson.
Please continue.
The problem of stillborns is that they would want to rewrite history. Winnie Madikizela Mandela of the ANC continues to live within us, and this is why we are here to do the work that we do. Shame on you that you betray her to an extent of making sure that power goes to other people, because you are so self-centered, wanting power whilst destroying our institutions. We are not going to watch it happen. We're going to put to jail everything that is corrupt in this country. We're going to continue to serve our people, create jobs for this country in your own words, whilst you come here and reject the bill. We reject everything anti-progress, the ANC government. Thank you so much, and we love you all. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. Your time has expired. Honorable members, that brings us to the conclusion of this day. That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. Could I ask everybody to please respect the House and the rules of the House? This is still Parliament. Could we respect this? That concludes the debate and the business of this mini plenary session. The mini plenary will now rise. Thank you.